Hey everybody, JC here, Thursday evening, September 1st. This is Hurricane Hermine, bearing down on the Apalachicola region of the Florida Panhandle, and possibly areas just east. So it looks like that's where the landfall is going to be tonight, sometime around midnight, maybe a few hours either way. But that does look like the track that the system is honing in on. Now, just to recap, the system first started just north of Puerto Rico as Invest 99L, and it tracked westward just to the north of Hispaniola and to the north of Cuba, but to the south of the Florida Keys. As it tracked west, it was fighting either shear to the north or dry air to the south from downsloping off of the elevations of Hispaniola and Cuba. So all those conditions kept the system just as an invest, below tropical depression criteria until it basically made it into the Gulf of Mexico. Once into the Gulf, it became Tropical Depression 9, then Tropical Storm Hermine, and now Hurricane Hermine as it hooked up, intensified, and went northward. So this is where we're at now. Landfall tonight at midnight. This area is just facing incredible amounts of rain, wind, storm surge. I'm sure pictures are going to emerge on social media and other media outlets. So you'll see what I'm talking about. But pretty much a horror story is unfolding here overnight for that area of Florida. Now, if we look at the National Hurricane Center's guidance map, you can see 75 miles an hour is the latest observation for sustained winds, and that's just over the 74 mile an hour hurricane criteria. We could see maybe another 10 or 15 miles an hour of strengthening before this actually does make it onto land. This satellite looks very healthy. There's signs of healthy outflow up here with the gravity waves in the high clouds. You can see that also down here in the southeast quadrant. So we could be looking at maybe a little more intensification right before landfall, but time is running out. It'd be unlikely that it makes it to Category 2 criteria, but maybe another 10 miles an hour, 80, 85 mile an hour sustained winds during landfall. Don't forget, gusts are higher. That's just sustained winds that are recorded for a period of time. Wind gusts can be higher, so we could get close to 100 mile an hour gusts from this. We'll have to wait and see the reports from that area. But what I want to point out here, you see these black circles with an S in the middle? That's indicating tropical storm criteria. Here you see white circles with S, and that's representing extra or post-tropical status. So this system is expected to transition from a warm core tropical system to an extratropical system between Georgia and North Carolina. And what that will do is it will take the warm core system where the winds are tightly, the highest winds are tightly wrapped around the core, and it will expand them to the full diameter of the system. It'll become more like a traditional nor'easter instead of a hurricane. So a hurricane with 100 mile an hour winds wrapped around the eye might only have 20 or 30 mile an hour winds on the outskirts of it. An extratropical system would likely just have 70 to 80 mile an hour winds throughout the whole diameter. Now, we've seen this before in Sandy, and by no means am I saying that Sandy is going to happen again, but it could get pretty rough along the coast here. But we could be dealing with a very large wind field pushing a lot of the ocean into the inlets, back bays, and lagoons. That is on the table. The other thing I want to point out here is how far away the center of this cone is from the coast, and how that means very little. A lot of people today have been saying, oh, it looks like it's going to miss us to the southeast. Well, yeah, the center of it's going to miss us to the southeast, but the thing's as big as this circle here. So even if the center is out here by the benchmark, we're still going to be dealing with a lot of onshore flow, rain, and wind associated with this. If this was winter, I'd be doing backflips down here in my basement because we have a storm system on the benchmark, and we're going to get a lot of snow on the I-95 corridor. However, this is not winter. It's obviously late summer, and we have a warm core system, and the ocean's very warm. So no snow with this. But again, to my point, the system can be way out here and still rough up the Jersey Shore and most of New Jersey, maybe southeast of the I-95 corridor this weekend. Now let's look at some guidance. This is the European model, the free version that's allowed to be posted. And this big blue area represents the trough that's moving out of the region. Now Hermine had a chance to hook up with this trough, right? And just be hoisted away. And earlier this week, that's what it looked like. It would miss all of us up here. It would miss us to the southeast of even the Outer Banks and steam off. However, if we go a little bit further, you can see this disconnection. So this piece of energy breaks away from that long-range trough, and you have this high pressure moving in. Now, the high is rotating anticyclonically, or clockwise. The low is rotating cyclonically, or counterclockwise. So already there's a lot of wind being generated onshore, even though this thing's still in the southeast U.S. Fast forward a couple frames, now you see this high sneaking around to the northeast quadrant of this system. And what that does is it stops it in its tracks, and it keeps the system here. It's like a caged animal. It just can't move. And in this position, you have tremendous winds off the ocean. And those are at least gale force, possibly hurricane force winds coming off the ocean for at least the southeast Jersey coast. Anyone from Sandy Hook down through Cape May and even around the bend into the Delaware Bay. This is focusing on you if you live near the coast. Everyone away from the coast, you might be like, oh, that's no big deal. Run-of-the-mill rain and wind. Yeah, that's probably going to be the case away from the coast. And even when you get into eastern PA, it's going to really fizzle out to nothing. So this is really targeting everybody southeast of the I-95 corridor, from New York down through Philadelphia and into the Delmarva Peninsula. So you can see here on this Euro, the system likely becomes extratropical at this point. So huge wind field, and it stalls. I mean, that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before it's out of here. Now, I think that's a little longer than what's going to happen, but this is the Euro. It's plausible. So I think regardless of intensity, location and duration are going to provide above average tides for probably 4 to 6 high tide cycles. So this is going to be one of those events where the tide, it's multiple high tides, not just 1 or 2, at least 4 of them. Now let's look at the latest GFS, and the ink is still hot on this one. So again, we have the system down here about to make landfall. Now the GFS goes a little bit more up the coast rather than an inland track. And that's sort of a worse situation for us, because once it gets to this Outer Banks area, the high pressure moves in and not only stalls it, but retrogrades it into the coast. Watch the position right here, and then it actually moves in towards New Jersey because this high is spinning anticyclonically. It drives it right into the coast. There, that's horrible. That's Sunday. These conditions will start Saturday PM, but Sunday PM is looking absolutely horrible here if this model verifies. We're talking very high storm surge under a new moon, near new moon, sorry. I think new moon was today, so Saturday will be 2 days after a new moon. So you might have like a 10%, evening crescent moon. So close enough to new. And then you have all the heavy rainfall that's going to have nowhere to drain along the coast once the storm sewers fill up. With that said, I do think that coastal flooding will be the headline in this system as far as New Jersey impacts go. Not rain or wind, but that's not to say we won't still see a lot of rainfall and, possibly hurricane winds. But, maybe I would say no less than 40-mile-an-hour winds, but 60, 70 is on the table, especially if this system right here is over incredibly warm water. Our sea surface temperature anomalies off the mid-Atlantic in this area have been off the charts warm all year long. So it's not going to contribute to any weakening, that's for sure. Again, we'll have to watch the extratropical transition and what that means. So then the GFS kind of lifts this out of here a little sooner. Tuesday night, it's kind of gone. By this point, we just have cool northerly winds when the rainfall lifts away. But going back to Sunday into Monday. That just looks really bad to me. So let's break all this down in English for New Jersey. On Saturday, I expect winds to pick up and clouds to move in from the south. I think you'll see some concerning levels at high tide on Saturday. But the rainfall might not make it to our region until closer to midnight Saturday night. Maybe as early as 8 p.m., but no later than midnight or so. Sunday will be an all-day washout mostly, especially between midnight and noon. And you're going to have another high tide, and I think that's when it's going to be the worst for coastal areas. All barrier islands from Sandy Hook down through Point Pleasant, Seaside, LBI, Atlantic City, Brigantine, Ocean City down through Wildwood and Cape May. The entire Jersey shore should expect very high coastal flooding, moderate levels at least, possibly substantial to severe flooding levels from this. And again, you see this low. It's far from the coast. It's way out here, just like the National Hurricane Center suggests, way out here. But the thing is this big. So it doesn't matter if it's out here. We're going to get hit even if it's out here. And I don't think that's as far out as it goes. I think it might go inside that center of the cone, which would be even worse for us. So hopefully this thing is moving out of here by Monday night, possibly Tuesday morning. But I think it's at least going to impact us between Saturday night and Monday morning. Again, 3 to 6 inches of rainfall, a 3 to 5 or 6 foot storm surge, 9 to 12 foot waves, 7 feet above mean lower level water levels. These are all flooding terms. What it means is that the water is going to get very high, especially in the back bays. Then you have the winds, which could be as strong as hurricane force wind, or at least gale force, at least 40-mile-an-hour winds with this. I do think the southeast part of New Jersey is in for a rough ride. Now, the National Hurricane Center did just extend tropical storm watches up into New Jersey. And let's talk about that for a minute. After Sandy, the National Weather Service made the decision to keep referring to a storm as its name, even after extratropical transition, so that the National Hurricane Center can communicate the risks associated. Because with Sandy, they didn't do that. And because of that, you really only had high wind warnings and flood warnings. Not enough to make people pack the bag and get out when the evacuations were issued. So the National Weather Service has made that adjustment. They will now refer to this system as Hermine, even if it transitions to its extratropical state. So I think that's a good thing. I think that's an improvement. And also the National Weather Service has their storm surge product now, which you might have seen, which is a really great product. It's been used in the landfalling area right now, and hopefully that has brought more awareness to those people. So if evacuations are going to be issued, they might be issued tomorrow, maybe Saturday morning along Jersey barrier islands. They have not been issued yet. It's possible they won't be issued. I would not be surprised if they are, though. And again, please listen to those evacuations. Do not try to be, the hero that won't leave their house no matter what. It's just not worth it. If by the time you do need medical assistance, all those ambulances and rescue rigs they're going to be tied up rescuing other people. They might not get to you. So I don't mean to paint that situation, but it's possible. So at least have a plan, get your supplies, do what you got to do, secure your boats, put your furniture inside. It's going to be a run-of-the-mill nor'easter for most, but it's going to get real ugly along the coast, especially in southeast New Jersey. Now, I will be live streaming from Barnegat Light. I have some resources that I'm very thankful for, who are providing me a nice concrete structure, second story, and I will try to provide live coverage from Barnegat Light. So I'll probably go live right on my Facebook page. And a few other storm chasers are going to be with me. So, we're kind of excited about this, but we're not going to do anything stupid either. So don't worry. But we will try to get you some footage for those who are curious about just exactly how bad it gets at the shore. So I'll probably put out another article tomorrow, just a final article with the track, how it's looking, and after that, it's going to be mostly live casting observations. To everyone who's new, welcome to Weather NJ. This is my side business here as a passion, my side job. My primary job, I'm a software engineer, so I do this out of passion, and I try to make everybody safer with it. It's not my intention to make you scared or to make you panic. It is my intention to aggregate safety awareness and to make you safer through actionable information. All right, that's always been my goal here. So again, if you're new, welcome, and if you've been with me as far back as before Hurricane Irene, thanks for your support over the years. I'm Jonathan Carr. Please have a great night and be safe.